Hello and welcome to Rathods Science Academy. Today in this session we are going to see current affairs of 29 September 2024. So let's get started, and actually today is Sunday. So there is no text and context, no opinion page, and as well as no editorial. So there are very less number of articles which are relevant from our examination point of view, and I will be trying to complete this analysis within 30 minutes of time. Okay, so let's get started. And let us see the first article. So I see this interesting image in the front page of International Edition of your Hindu. So here this image which is talking about smoke which is coming out of a fire broke down in a chemical go down which is belonging to the factory of Tata Electronics in Tamil Nadu. So can we relate this image with disaster management? So in disaster management, you will be studying this industrial disaster. So from that point of view, can you see this? Yes, right? Okay, so let us see this article clearly. So actually this article is talking about one of your important subjects in your GS, that is your disaster management. Okay, so let me write here. So this topic, it is about industrial disaster. So you will be reading this topic in your GS paper 3 under DM, disaster management, and this DM, it is for only your mains. And this year in 2024 mains, you got 2 questions from your disaster management. So it is very important. So what are the dimensions you have to see? You have to see what is a disaster versus hazard. So whenever anything which is happening, for example, earthquake happened, but it happened in uninhabited area, it does not cause any damage to property or life. So that is called as hazard. So when it is causing damage to the life and as well as property, then only we will be calling it as disaster. So here you have to understand what are the reasons for this industrial disaster. So what are the reasons you have to know? And you have to know some examples of industrial disaster in our country, and you have to know what are the measures can be taken to control this disaster. And here there is also a chance of getting case study in your GS paper 4, ethics case study. So you have to know these things. Okay, now let us see this article in detail. So what is an industrial disaster and what is chemical disaster? You have to know exactly the difference. So industrial disaster is it is nothing but a significant accident which happens at an industrial site, and it results in extensive damage, injuries, fatalities. And such disaster, they can stem from various causes like chemical causes, mechanical causes, civil causes, electrical causes, etc. And it mainly because of negligence or incompetence. So in this we have the types of industrial disaster, that is chemical disaster, explosions, mining disaster, falling objects, and radiological incident. So it is related to chemical disaster because the blown of fire which happened in a chemical industry. So chemical disaster defined as a release or spill of toxic chemicals that results in abrupt and serious disruption of functioning of the society which is present nearby, and even it can cause widespread of human, material or environmental losses that exceeds the ability of affected society to cope using only its own resources. So according to NDMA, that is National Disaster Management Authority, over 130 significant chemical accidents they had been reported in our country last decade. And because of this chemical disaster, so it also leads to loss of life of more than 250 people. Okay, so now let us see what are the factors that are responsible for this chemical disasters. So first one here is because of inadequate regulation monitoring. So there are more than 15 acts that will be dealing with this and 19 rules, but there is lack of unified approach of implementation of this. And this one here is, so what, whoever the workers are recruited, so they are unskilled worker. So insufficient worker training and awareness is also an important reason for this disasters. And this one is, there is proper no maintenance of worker safety protocols, and even there is very poor investment in employing the safety operations for the workers. And this one is, even they are going for, they are not going for proper maintaining of industries. So Vishakhapatnam gas leak involving benzimidazole, which raises mainly the concerns about maintenance and operations of these industries. And even Neyveli incident also said that yes, there are no proper maintenance. And do you know some examples of industrial disasters in our country? So you might be knowing well about this Bhopal gas tragedy. Bhopal gas tragedy in the year 1984. And next one is Jaipur oil depot fire, which happened in 2009. And Korba chimney collapse in 2009. And Mayapur radiological incident 2010. And apart from this recent Essentia Pharmaceutical Company's incident in AP, and you can write about this 2024 incident, now it is in news. So whenever you are writing any answer regarding this industrial disasters, you need to give examples to substantiate your argument. So there current affairs plays a key role. So you have to know that. Okay. Now let us see next topic. Title says, with a new scheme, many take to shine to rooftop solar. So this article is talking about PF Muft Solar Yojana. PF Muft Solar Bijli Yojana. Bijli Solar Yojana. So whenever you are getting any scheme in use, you have to see all these dimensions. So make a note of it. So that schemes will be important from GS paper to governance point of view. So what are the dimensions you have to see? First of all, you have to know full form of that scheme. And next, what are the features of that scheme? And next, you have to see who are eligible, eligibility criteria. And next, you have to see whether it is a central sponsored scheme or central sector scheme, and under which ministry it comes under. You have to see what are the advantages, next disadvantages, and what are the challenges we are having regarding that scheme and implementation of that scheme. And you have to see finally measures. So all these are the important dimensions you have to see if there is any scheme in use. So now let us see this article in detail. So this article is saying that PF Muft Bijli Solar Yojana, under this, actually it is a center-led scheme and they are coming up with outlay of 75,000 crore. And the important aim of this scheme, it is to install at least 1 crore rooftop solar installations across country. So you have to remember, it is focusing on the target of 1 crore rooftop solar installations. And actually, if you see, as of August 2024, Gujarat leads the state in terms of installed solar roof capacity. Okay, after we came up with this scheme. And if you see some facts regarding this PM Surya Ghar Bijli Muft Yojana, so it is a government scheme, and when we launched this in this year itself, it is a very new scheme in February 2024. An important aim, it is to provide free electricity to households in India, and under this scheme, households will be provided with a subsidy, okay, to install the solar panels on their roof. And subsidy will be covering around 40% of the cost of the solar panels. And if you see, this scheme is having an aim of reaching 1 crore households across India. And who are eligible here? So households must be Indian citizen, first important criteria. And household must own a house with a roof, and that roof should be suitable for installing the solar panels, or else they'll be not getting any subsidy. And its one is that house should have a valid electricity connection. So here whatever the solar panels you are fixing on their roof and whatever the electricity they are generating, they will be using for their household consumption now. And household must not be avail any other subsidy for solar panels. If they are getting any subsidy or any government related help for the solar panels of that house, then they will be not eligible under this scheme. So this is the eligibility criteria that you have to know. And next topic here is BSF, that is Border Security Force, asking UIDAI to deactivate Aadhaar of undocumented migrants from Bangladesh. So first one here keyword is BSF and second one is to deactivate Aadhaar of migrants. Okay, so let us write those keywords which are seen in the title. First one is Border Security Force and second one is cancellation of Aadhaar of migrants, and these migrants came from Bangladesh. So now let us talk about this BSF, that is Border Security Force. So we have our armed forces. Okay, so our defense consists of army and we have navy, we have air force. So apart from these, we have central armed police forces, okay, central reserve police force, CRPF is there, and central armed police force, CAPF and CRPF is there. So actually, so these army, air force and navy, they will be providing security from external agents, right? But internally also we will be having lots of issues, violations, and there will be issues regarding law and order, peace, instability, everything. So that will be maintained by our armored power forces, okay, armored forces. So here BSF is one of the force. Okay, so here you have to know about when this BSF had been formed and what are the roles and responsibilities of this BSF, and you have to see like very important thing. So now why this BSF is involved. And next here, you know about this Bangladesh. Bangladesh is one of our neighboring country with which we are sharing longest international border. And you know about this political turmoil in this Bangladesh. So now here Bangladesh is under control of armed forces. They form an interim government. And we don't know about even the future of elections, whether which political party will going to come into power, everything. So we have very uncertainty in India Bangladesh relations. So what happened here is because of this many people they are entering into India illegally from Bangladesh. So yesterday also we discussed one article like, so because of this migrants from Bangladesh, it is changing demography of Jharkhand, especially in this Santal dominated region. So actually what happens whenever these people who are from Bangladesh are entering into India, obviously we are having some socio-economic issues, okay, socio-economic conflicts that is going to cause in the future. So we have to address this now. So whenever these people they are entering into India, so it causes internal security issues, and now BSF is going to take care of these issues, and it asked UIDAI to cancel the Aadhaar cards which is given to these migrants from Bangladesh. So now let us see this article clearly. Let us try to understand what this move is about. So Border Security Force has begun requesting UIDAI, that is Unique Identification Authority of India, which is responsible for providing of Aadhaar cards. And why? Here BSF is contacting this UIDAI to deactivate Aadhaar cards of this undocumented Bangladeshi migrants who entered into India. So this initiative it is to mainly disrupt human trafficker networks. So as you all know that human trafficking will violate human rights, will violate fundamental rights, and is also against international convention, and even human rights is also human trafficking is also an organized crime, right? So we have to disrupt all this human trafficker network. Okay, so because of this Yes, the step is taken by BSF. And if you see some important details, it says that human trafficking network can be disrupted. So because of this BSF initiative to deactivate Aadhaar cards, it is one of the strategic move to dismantle human trafficking networks, because we are cutting the identity of these traffickers who are exploiting, and even we can reduce the operations of such illegal activities which are going in India. And next one here is we can also focus on efficient deportation. So once their Aadhaars are deactivated, we can identify that these people, they came from Bangladesh without any documents. So we can deport them, and that means we are going to send back them to Bangladesh, so that we can efficiently manage our border. And even we can also take some proactive approach for enhancing of our border security as well. And next one here is presence of Aadhaar card among these migrants, which raises the questions about verification process. And actually, Aadhaar card will be given based on some identifications or some documents. So if these migrants are also getting this Aadhaar card, means again there is a problem of integrity and identity of management systems in our country. And next one here is we can also go for cross-border collaboration with Bangladesh, so that we can also have the collaboration with border guards of Bangladesh, so that we can understand the importance of cross-border collaboration, so that how this engagement between two countries will be helpful for illegal migration problem. And even regional partnership is very helpful for border security efforts. Okay, now let us see about this BSF. BSF is one of the Central Armed Police Forces, that is CAPF, and when it had been raised in India in year 1965. So why? Because at this 1965, an important event that happened in our post-independent India, that was war. Okay, so because of that 1965 war, we came up with this increasing of security forces across the border of our country. And actually, only CAPF has its own water wing, air wing, and even other small ancillary units. So it will be working under Ministry of Home Affairs. It is not going to work under Ministry of Defense. So this is the thing you have to remember. Army, Navy, Air Force will come under Ministry of Defense, but the Central Armed Police Forces comes under Ministry of Home Minister. And they will be bordering India, Pakistan, and as well as India and Bangladesh border. So what are the operations they had taken till now? So they will be taking peacetime role. So in the peacetime, whenever there is no war, so they will be addressing this issue of trans-border crimes. And as well as they will be focusing on illegal activities like human trafficking, drug trafficking, arms trafficking. And during wartime, so they will be focusing on taking aggressive actions against paramilitary or other irregular forces of enemies. And apart from that, even they will be also deployed overseas. So BSF also contributes its personnel every year for United Nations peacekeeping missions also. And next one here is even they will be focusing on other roles, like they will be also deployed across LOC in Jammu and Kashmir under operation to control the army of Pakistan. And even if there is any emergency like any natural disaster or any calamities also, BSF can provide some areas to provide some humanitarian aid for the people who are facing this national disaster or natural disaster. And see this very important article, export ban on non-basmati white rice removed. Okay, so this article is talking about export duty, not export duty, export ban. Okay, export ban on basmati rice. So now it had been removed. So this article is saying that, so till now we have ban on export of basmati rice to other countries. So now this export ban had been removed. So here you have to know some important things, like, so we'll be discussing about this exports and imports in your economy, GS paper 3, in your GS paper economy. you will be studying this topic. So especially in chapter called as trade. Trade includes two things, imports and as well as exports. So imports means from one country we are bringing. So exports means from the country we are giving to another country. So this is the difference between imports and exports. So what happened? So there is ban on exports of basmati rice in India. That means Indians should not export this basmati rice to other countries. But now this ban had been removed. So what happens if the ban had been removed? Think about this. So because of this ban, we are not going to export to other countries, right? So because of this, whenever this ban which is removed, then we can increase our exports to other countries. So whenever we are increasing our exports, we can increase our forex reserves, and even farmers, they will be going for increased growing of this basmati rice, so that there will be also increasing of farmers income, and overall agriculture GDP will be also increased. Yes or no? So these are the advantage of this removal of export ban. Now let us see this in detail. So Union Government of India lifted, that means removed, ban on non-basmati white rice exports. So when it imposed in July 2023, it had been imposed. That means from July 2023 till now, there is no proper exports of rice from India. So because of this, here what happened? There is decreased exports of non-basmati rice from India. So exports now resume with a minimum price set. So what is the minimum price which had been set by the government? That is $490 per ton. And additionally, they are also going to impose export duty on this paraboiled rice. So earlier the duty is 20%, but now the duty is decreased to 10%. That means we can also enhance our exports of para-boiled rice. So actually this para-boiled rice will be used for especially making of this idli rava. So actually this para-boiled rice is not useful for consuming directly as we cook the rice. Okay, it is used for just to give the food for the babies in the cerelacs, and as well as it is used just for making idli rava. Okay, now let us see this article. So here, because of this lifting of export ban, it will be enhancing the income of farmers. It will be giving economic boost for the farmers. So the lifting of this export ban, it is going to rejuvenate farmers' income, which suffer from reduced exports. So now we can increase our exports, and as well as we can increase our agricultural investment, and obviously there will be increasing of agricultural productivity, and finally we can have the more access to international markets now, and we can also revive our trade relations with our countries. So actually Southeast Asian countries used to import our rice, non-basmati rice, especially para-boiled rice. So because of this export ban from 2023 onwards, so these countries, they are not getting access to the food grains from India. So now whenever we are removing this, that means we can go for revival of our trade relations. We can re-establish our trade ties with the key markets in Southeast Asian countries, so that we can strengthen the relationship, and even we can enhance India's presence in global agricultural trade. And next one here is government is also controlling the regulation of price. So here whenever government is giving certain price limits, even that will be helpful for maintaining of stability in the market, and even we can protect our domestic prices, and we can make our products competitive in our international market. And next one here is, if you see the para-boiled rice duty impact, so earlier the duty was 20%, and now it again decreased to 10%. That means what happened, whenever export duty had been decreased means encouraging we are encouraging exports, so that there will be increasing of exports. Whenever increasing of exports, we will be getting more forex reserves, and we can also increase demand of our Indian goods in the foreign market. Okay, so these are the things that you need to remember. And next important article here is surviving in India's salt desert. So actually this article is talking about Rann of Kutch. Where is this Rann of Kutch is located? In state of Gujarat. So actually, do you know about this animal which is given here? It is Indian wild ass. So actually, this Rann of Kutch is facing two different problems because of climate change. One is deserts are becoming like wetlands during the monsoon season, and after rainy season is done, again it is becoming back. It is going back to salt desert. And another side, the animals which are living here, they are facing problems to adapt to the changing of climate. So here one such an animal which is struggling here is Indian wild ass. So whatever the conservation steps we are taking, but because of climate change, so these efforts are going into vain. So this is a thing which mainly said. And here this article you can read from your GS1 under geography, where you will be studying about this deserts, wetlands, etc. And even from environment and ecology in the biodiversity point of view, and even the services which are provided by wetlands and protection of wetlands, that is Ramsar sites. So from all these things that you can read this article. So now let us see this article, the little Rann of Kutch, which had been formed by ancient geological changes. Now it is a salt desert in Gujarat. And this salt desert, which is home for endangered Indian wild ass. It is also called as kur. And actually the problem here is in monsoon season, so this region will be transforming into a wetland. So whenever it is forming a wetland, it will be helpful for wildlife because they will be getting water, and even humans who are present in this region, they will go for salt production, which will be the livelihood of these people. So despite recovering from near extinction due to disease, actually this kur, which is facing lots of problem regarding the extinction, because you are also getting some new diseases, and they're also facing challenges from habitat encroachment and even negative human wildlife interactions. So whatever the conservation efforts we are taking, so we need to take more so that we can protect both ecosystem and as well as kur population together. So if you see some details, it says that the Rann of Kutch formed from like it is very long ago. So here if you want to see the formation of this Rann of Kutch desert, so you have to see about the movement of this Indo-Australian plate towards northwards. So that time we can relate it to. So here this ecosystem which formed millions of years ago. Okay, so here it is belonging to now the dynamic nature of Earth landscape, and even we have to relate it to the geological events that happened million years of ago. So understanding the history of this region is very important, and even it is effective for taking conservation strategies of this salt desert. And if you say significance of biodiversity, so the presence of Indian wild ass, which is a very unique species which adapted to harsh environment, because in summer season it will be becoming a salt desert, and in the monsoon season it is becoming a wetland. And we can especially give some importance to the preserving of specialized habitats so that we can support endemic wildlife. And if you see conservation challenges, now here Kurds or this Indian wild ass, they are at a verge of near extinction because of disease. So here we have to understand the disease is caused by which organism, and we need to focus on effective treatment so that we can conserve these animals to some extent. And next one here is even human and ecosystem interaction is also happening. So during this wetland times in the monsoon season, so the people who are present in that region, they will be going for salt production. So here, and whenever they are going with this interaction with this wetlands, obviously the animals which are living nearby, so they will be getting interaction with the humans. Sometimes it will lead human animal conflict actually. So there is also encroachment of these areas for the salt production by the people, and there is also habitat degradation or destruction. So we need to have a balanced economic needs with the ecological preservation. So this is the need of the hour. And even because of impact of climate, so actually the seasonal transformation of this runoff Kutch is happening as a dry salt flat and even wetland during the monsoon season. So even because of changing of climate, the impact is very huge in this region. And next one here is there is also misconceptions regarding this wildlife management, like misattributing crop damage to the Kur while overlooking other culprits, which highlights the need for better education management practices. So actually, if you see this wildlife, so they are mainly herbivores animals. So they will be feeding on grass. So whenever this region which is becoming desert, so will they get proper food? No. So in the time of monsoon, at least because of rain, yes, we can see the availability of grass to some extent in this region. So as a local people need to have the better education, better community engagement, better management practices to mitigate this human wildlife conflict. And this one is we have to focus on even future of conservation. So as this core population grows, developing strategies to separate wildlife habitats from human activities, it is very essential for coexistence. And we have to protect unique biodiversity of this region. So these are the things that you have to remember from this article. And let us see next article. You can see this image. So what is this image is talking about? It is talking about death coral skeleton, and you can see green color. Green color is nothing but the algae which is growing there. So actually this article is saying that there is a relationship between the death of corals and blooming of algae. Okay. So again this article is important from your GS paper 1 where you will be studying about coral reef, and even from your GS paper 3. Okay, that is from your environment and ecology. So this article is saying that dead coral skeletons left by bleaching events that hinder reef regeneration by disrupting essential process. So once the death of corals happened, so they will not support regeneration of corals. At that time, what happens? It protects an environment for the growing of seaweeds. Yes, there is a growing of macro algae that will be dominating in these regions where there is death of coral skeletons. So that will ultimately prevent the recovery of corals. So there is a relationship between coral death and as well as macroalgae. Macroalgae will be dominating to compete with the young corals for vital resource, and further it will prevent this recovery of the corals. So this article is saying that coral skeletons as barriers. The presence of these dead coral skeletons that creates as a barriers that prevent the new coral form from establishing themselves. So that we can understand that if we are having the dead coral, so it will be not maintaining proper coral population to ensure ecosystem resilience. And this one here is coral bleaching events. You are not just immediate threats, but it can have the long-term ecological shift. So here we need to take some proactive conservation measures. And this one here is whenever there is absence of herbivores due to landscape of dead corals, so obviously macroalgae, they will be multiplying at a very large scale that will underscores the need of effective herbivore management in the reef ecosystem. And even there is competition between macroalgae and as well as young corals for essential resources, which will highlight about yes the importance of biodiversity in maintaining ecosystem balance. And even the macroalgae will be growing at a very fast pace compared to that of corals. So because of this, we need to focus on restoration efforts, and as well as we have to focus on the necessary environment that we have to provide to the development of the corals. And this one is we need to have a proper balance between coral and as well as herbivores so that we can maintain proper healthy reefs here. And because of these problems here, we can say that the microalgae will be under control. And this one here is whenever there is a breakdown of critical process because of death of coral skeletons, then that will leads to the impact on overall biodiversity. So here this article is saying that yes, we need to preserve these corals and we have to focus on the conservation strategies. Okay, so this is about in depth regarding this article. So these are the some important points that you have to remember from our today's Hindu newspaper analysis. And these are the important articles that appeared in our today's Hindu newspaper. So by this I am concluding. And before concluding, I want to say one thing. So we in Rathods IS, we are launching this prelims test series. So whenever you want, you can join this. It is not like you have to join today itself. So whatever the test we are conducting, that will be available in our app. So first you have to download the app and you have to do the payment in app, so that you will be getting test on online. So if you want to join offline, you can join anytime. Don't worry about that. And I will be available in the office so that you can come and you can write. After writing your exam, I will be giving you the mentorship. And here in this prelims essays, we are having 35 tests, which include subject-wise, sectional, current affairs-based, CSAT, and as well as full-length test. And online course cost is just 3,500 rupees. That is just 100 rupees for a test. And next one here is in offline, you will be having 5,500 rupees with along with mentorship. So that's all, guys. So this will be very, very useful for you. And if you want to clear this UPSC prelims and if you're serious about UPSC 2025, you can come and join this test series. That's all. And I hope you will be joining this. And if you want to contact me, if you want to talk to me directly, you can call me on this number 8074765513. And don't forget. And that's all, guys. I'm going to wind up today. And if you really like this class, hit the like button and please do share this class to your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to Rathods IS Academy. Thank you so much for watching. Okay.